All right. Again, welcome to our admissions webinar, Learn Everything About the CHCH Application Process and Financial Aid. My name is Lisa Pelrine, and I am the Director of Enrollment Management here at CHCH. And I've met many of you throughout our different webinars and our process. So thank you for joining us this afternoon. And I'm also here with my colleague, Susie. Susie, if you want to say hello.
Hi, everyone. I am the Associate Director of Admissions and Director of Financial Aid here. And in the background is the admissions office, which is called Peebles. If you have been here before, awesome. If not, that's how you'll know that you've made it.
Yep. All right. So this afternoon, we're going to be breaking this up into two pieces. First, I'll be walking us through just the application process in general, the timeline, just a few changes this year as we're all dealing with COVID and how we've had to change a little bit of the application process and how you can continue to learn more about us. And then we're going to pause and take questions regarding the application process before I then I'm sorry. And then Susie's going to actually walk us through how to use our online application and do a quick demo for us. And then we're going to do a Q&A. And then at that point, we're going to switch over to our need-based financial aid seminar about, this afternoon. Susie's going to give a quick overview, and then we'll do a Q&A at that portion. So that way, if you want to stay on the whole time, that's great. Or if you want to break after the application segment, that's also fine as well. Okay, so I'm just going to ask Susie to click to our next screen here. All right. So there are a few different ways that you can begin the process about learning about CHCH. Many of you have already done some of these things. I was just talking to another parent who, like many families, start the process early, and we're lucky enough to come last year to our on-campus open houses and things like that. But for those that haven't had the fortunate enough experience of being able to do that, that's not a problem. What we've created is a CHCH admissions virtual experience page on our website. And so there are a bunch of recordings of all different webinars that we've done throughout the spring, the summer, and this fall admission cycle. And so don't worry about that. There's plenty of information there, from student panels to a parent panel, information and overview about CHCH, our skills and academic support program, our athletics program, our amazing arts. So there's a lot of information there. So if you haven't visited that page yet, please log on to our website, chch.org/virtual. And we've put that in the chat session. I also wanted to mention, apologize for this, but if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to put your questions in the chat, and then we'll get to them. So you can do that at any point. Okay. I did want to let families know as well that we are lucky enough to be able to do on-campus tours and interviews. We're scheduling those one family at a time and really spreading those out so that way we can all keep safe. And so we schedule those during the academic day, Monday through Friday. So as you're touring campus with a student ambassador, you're able to kind of peek in on some classes and see things in session. And for those of you not able to visit campus, whether it's distance or that you just don't feel comfortable, we're also offering a virtual tour and interview. So you'll also get to meet a student ambassador who will take you through a virtual tour of our campus, and then you'll meet with a member of the admissions team to do the interview. There is no preference on our end. Either way is perfectly fine. So we're hopeful that makes it easier for you to be able to complete that part of the process. All right, I'm going to turn things to the next slide and really dig in a little bit to the actual application process. So there are a few ways that you can apply. We have our own CHCH online application that is very similar to the SAO, which is the standard application online that SSAT is the host. So either application is perfectly fine. And again, Susie's going to kind of take us through a demo of our online application because sometimes it's a little bit confusing. So she'll help us out with that. So one thing I mentioned that we're changing this year due to COVID is that the SSAT is optional for us this year. It is, parents can and students can sign up for the SSAT and do it at home. There are some flex spaces to be able to do that. So if you are able to take the SSAT, that is great. But if you're unable to, please don't stress over that part of the process. There are other ways for us to dig a little bit deeper into the application and learn more about your student. We also accept any educational testing, a neuropsych report, and that could be a WISC, and it just has to be within 3 years old. If you actually have a neuropsych, we would prefer that. Like many of us, we all have strengths and areas we need to improve upon, and all have different learning styles. So that's a wealth of information for us to learn about your student. So we do accept the neuropsych as well. An interview is required, and so again, we could either do that on campus or virtual. And as far as the interview, we typically do the student part first, and then we meet with a parent after that. One or both parents is perfectly fine. But with the student interview, it's really straightforward, and it's just for us to really have a conversation, and it really brings the application to life, and just kind of helps us just expand upon what we'll learn through the application process. And so, I always tell students it's nothing to be nervous about. We're interviewing you and you're interviewing us at the same time. So it's all about best fit at the end of the day. We just go through basic information and just talk about academics and interests and really what you're looking for in an ideal school. It's also great to have some questions prepared as well. You will have a tour before the interview. So, we'll have a student ambassador walk you through campus, and you'll have a lot of questions answered at that point. But it's always good to ask the interviewer some similar questions as well, just to kind of get different perspectives. So that's just kind of a little bit of advice on interview prep. We do not have a dress code here at CHCH. So as far as what a student should wear to the interview, it's whatever they're really comfortable in. So there is no formal dress code. Our application deadline is February 1st of 2021. I forgot to change that. So it's actually due this coming February, and nothing has to happen in any particular order. Just basically the entire application and the interview needs to be done before that. As far as teacher recommendations, you'll see when we go through the application, we do ask for a current math and English teacher and school recommendation. So current English, math, school recommendation could be from a guidance counselor or a principal, as well as a transcript. Now, we understand some students are either hybrid or fully remote. And so that poses a little bit of a challenge. So if you feel like there might be another teacher from last year who had the opportunity to teach your child all year, that could be a supplemental recommendation. That would be helpful for us as well. So in addition to those current teachers, you could always submit an additional recommendation. That's totally fine. March 10th is the notification date when we let you know our decisions, and we let you know that in several different ways. We do both, we mail something directly to you, we use snail mail, but we also notify you by email as well. So we email both the parents and the students. So it's important for us to make sure that we have everybody's email. And so to make sure you fill out that information on the application. And then you'll have about a month to continue to explore and before you have to make your decision, which is April 10th. Okay, we'll have other events for you to engage in as well throughout this process, because the more you can learn and see our community and get to know our culture, the better off you are at making your decisions. And so we are sending out emails to advertise. We're going to have a coffee with our head of school beginning this week, and we're going to be continuing that in January every other week. So it's a chance to meet with Dr. Lance Conrad and have some time with him in small group settings. We'll also be having parent receptions that we'll be hosting as well throughout the month of January. So just keep an eye out in your email for those events. We'll also be having some sort of revisit day. Typically, it's at the end of March, beginning of April. Stay tuned for details on that, because depending on how things hopefully will progress with COVID, that will impact how we're able to do our revisit days. But this is just kind of a summary of everything that you need to know about the application process and just deadlines as well. And so I'm going to turn it over to Susie to do a demo of our application. She's my database guru. And then once she walks us through that, then I will open it up to a Q&A, and then we can then talk about the financial aid process. Over to you, Susie.
Hi, everyone. Your database guru. Ooh, big title. So here is our website. Many of you have probably been there. That's kind of how you got here today. So you'll notice our admissions page. There are multiple ways for you to apply and access the application. So this is right here. You see My CHCH. That is our online portal. All of our students and all of our parents, that's how they access the portal. When you start the application process, you get into our system, and your username and your email that's linked to you follows you through the next 3 or 4 years. So we're going to get started with that. So you can log in this way, or if you've already started the process, or you can come here to admissions apply. So right here, you'll see begin or continue the application. It'll actually normally send you to a login page. And I apologize, this is kind of my demo site. It'll send you to a login page, and like any kind of very user-friendly program and software where you're creating a new a new login and password, it'll prompt you to create a login. So you can create your own username. We can also create it for you, but it is linked to your email address. So once you get that started, once you have a login, everything, this is kind of the center for everything. This is, my test student. This is actually my son. And so this is where you're going to start. So you can start the application here. You can see application right here and fill it out. You'll also see this tab, decision. This is where you will get an official decision online. So if you're waiting for mail on March 10th, you can log in right here on March 10th as well if the mail doesn't come. And this also has, the official letter, all the instructions on how to access paperwork, etc. But you can go back to admissions progress. So here is where the checklist is for everything you need to know. And this is the place where we update our information. Even if you're doing the common application, those application pieces are going to come right into here. We're going to process them and write down if we've received it or not. And so you'll be able to kind of see everything that's checked off. Okay, I have to do the candidate interview, application, etc. One thing I will say is that, especially in January, as we get a lot of applications at once, it does take a few days for things to process. So even if you have, submitted something, or the teacher said that they submitted something, give it a couple of days. If not, just contact our office. So here we go. So I'm gonna start the application. Here's if you have, let's say you have 2 children, and they're both applying at the same time. You'll just add this child, and you'll see I have 4 right here. I don't have 4 kids, but those are all my tests. The other thing you'll see once you get a decision, and I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I want you to be aware, if you see this, that means that there is a contract for you, and you will see on March 10th if your student has been accepted. And so anytime you kind of have anything to sign or pay for, etc., you'll get a nice yellow notification. So here, I'll go to the application. So you're going to select, depending on, let's say you are a international student or a domestic student. You're going to, if you're applying for this year, we are still taking mid-year applications on a case-by-case basis, but you're going to most likely click domestic application 2021, 2022. I can believe 2020 is almost over. And we're going, it's just taking a little while. I'll let that, there we go. And as you see, sometimes things do take a little while, and they, it takes some time. So you'll see all these different tabs. I will say it is pretty user-friendly, but it really is, sometimes the system just gets a little overwhelmed, and we have to you just have to be a little bit patient, but always hit that refresh button. And so it also won't let you, submit until everything has been, you've completed every line item. So as you can see, it is a little bit slower. It keeps going, but you're just going to fill all these out. It will, there are parts that are required. So again, it won't, stop you if you don't fill out each and everything, like address line 2, but it will, for the required items, it will make sure that you fill those out. So you want to make sure, as you fill everything out, you want to make sure you get to the payment and confirmation, and that you get a thank you for submitting your application notification. That's the biggest and most important thing. And once you do that, we'll process your application and go from there. And again, once you have that, you're going to come back to, you can go back to the student here at any time. It will save it, so you can work on the application and go back to it, and take a pause, go back to it. In the application too, there is the place where the student fills it out and also where the parent fills it out. And then again, we have school recommendations. So one thing that's great about our system is that you can submit, you can send the email to the teacher online. So I'm going to send this to myself. So you can write the person's name. This is me. Their email address, and then send them a quick note. It will send actually an actual email to the teacher or the guidance counselor that will give instructions on everything, and the form will be in there, and they're going to get it and then have the opportunity to upload the recommendation back in. So that's really nice. And then once they send that back in, we automatically get a notification. It's in our system. So it's pretty user friendly. All right. So those are all that's all I have for the online application. And I'll, leave it open for questions.
Susie, one question that did come in. If you are using the common application through the SAO, do you have to create a separate CHCH account?
So it will be created for you but yes, you do have to create a separate CHCH account. But again, you'll have the checklist with the SAO, and all of that information will come into CHCH. And again, that login will be your login for the next 4 years if you enroll. But it also is where you can see the contract and everything. You won't be able to see the contract, see the decision on the SAO. That makes sense. So you do need a separate SSAT, or you do need a separate CHCH login.
Okay, great. Thank you, Susie. And then another parent, in case you're not all looking at the chat, another parent asked if the common application was the same as Ravenna, where other school applications are listed. So that is separate. So the SAO, again, is the standard application online, and that's through the SSAT. Ravenna is a different system that a set number of schools use. Not all schools use that. The SAO is definitely more common. So again, we would just prefer either our online application or the SAO. Okay. Any other questions on the application part of this? I hope this was helpful for you. I know you just went through a bunch of information, but if you do go to our website again, chch.org, under admissions, there is the timeline and step-by-step parts of everything we spoke about this afternoon. Okay, I don't see any other questions coming in about that section. So we are going to turn it over to the financial aid portion of the conversation. So everyone can feel free to stay on. If this is something that you already have information on, or you're not interested, you can certainly drop off the webinar, and thank you for joining us. So I'm just going to turn things over to Susie, and she's going to do her presentation now on financial aid. Thank you, Susie.
Great. All right, over to my other side of the job, financial aid, which can be a very daunting and very scary process because of all the things you need to gather, but we're here to help you. So I'm going to first kind of give you an overview of what so the two different types of financial aid, and then I'll kind of go into detail about that. So what is need-based financial aid? So need-based aid is a form of a grant from the school based on each family's individual needs. The award comes directly from the school's specific financial aid budget and does not need to be repaid. Also, if a family is awarded financial aid, they have to apply each year of enrollment in order to ensure that they qualify. And so to apply for need-based financial aid, that's where we use a system called SSS, and I will get into that very shortly. And then scholarships. Scholarships are grants that are awarded to students based on merit, not need. Scholarships are awarded at a set amount for each year of enrollment, and a family does not need to apply for financial aid in order to receive a scholarship. And so one other thing, so scholarships are then also awarded by the admissions committee. So we have a financial aid committee, and then we have an admissions committee. So the scholarships are awarded through the admissions committee based on merit, and then the need-based financial aid is awarded through the financial aid committee. One thing I will say about our process is that we handle every family's case with confidentiality and sensitivity. We are dealing with your two most prized possessions, which is your money and your children. Actually, your children first, then your money. And so we keep SSS. We use that program to keep the our process very fair and also very streamlined. So what is the process like at CHCH? And what are some tips that we have? And so I'm going to talk about kind of, ways to go through the process, but then also some tips. So the first and most important thing I'd say is know the deadlines, but also set a personal deadline. Next slide is all the deadlines. But the most important thing is knowing them, but also being prepared. And setting a personal deadline, because things do take time. You do have to wait for some information to come in. So a lot of times I like to tell families, set a personal deadline about 2 weeks before our deadline. Then the next thing, gather your documents. And I'll get into that shortly. And these are all things that you can do now. And then the last thing, complete the parent financial statement. And so you'll need all those documents in order to complete that. But again, that's something, as we're getting to the year's end. And I know it's the holiday season. If you have a little extra time, which I know is tough to find these days, completing that parent financial statement and getting that started is going to make you feel a lot less scrambled at the end of January when the admissions application is due and the financial aid application is due. So here are the important deadlines and dates. So February 1st is our parent financial statement. So that's due on February 1st. And then additionally, all 2019 W-2s, 1040s, and all filed schedules and attachments if you are a business owner. Also due on February 1st is your 2020 W-2s. And that is, I didn't put an asterisk next to it, but that is a soft deadline. If you haven't gotten your W-2, it's by February 1st, that's okay. I would just suggest if you don't get it by January, 25th or so, contact your HR department or your employer and just say, hey, I need my W-2 as soon as possible. And then February 15th is the deadline for all 2020 tax documents. That is also a soft deadline. We know that's 2 months before the April 15th deadline. And we use that as more of an encouragement as instead of a requirement. We want to encourage families or tell families that when you're applying for financial aid, and if this is the first time or and you also plan on applying at the college level, when you're applying for financial aid, it is not really the time to be applying for an extension. This year is a little different. We know everything's a little up in the air, so we're going to definitely be a lot more flexible. But I just want to remind you that, really try and get all those documents in. Obviously, if you have a very complicated tax situation, you can just let me know. And again, anytime I get an email from a parent just keeping me in the loop, I really appreciate it. Because we know things, especially right now, are a little up in the air, but just let me know if things are going to be a little late. That's okay. And then March 10th is when all the admissions and financial aid decisions are sent and posted on your MyCHTH portal. And as you can remember, I did show you where you can look at your decision. And the decision tab also lets you know if you've been given a grant, a financial aid grant. So just be aware of that. So documents needed to complete your application. And these are the things you can start gathering now from 2019, because obviously we don't have 2020 taxes. So your W-2s, your 1040s, all schedules and attachments, 1099s, if applicable, K-1s for business owners, and any bank statements. You don't need to submit bank statements, but you do need those to complete the parent financial statement. So the parent financial statement, we call it the PFS. You'll get used to the terminology. There are a lot of acronyms in the financial aid and admissions world, as you can tell already. So it's the full application where you will create an account, another account, and provide all your financial information and submit your documents. It's similar to the FAFSA if you ever did that for college, or yeah, similar to the FAFSA. So you're going to go to this website. It's solutionsbysss.com/parents. And that's right there. There's so many resources. They have webinars, they have tutorials, they have so many wonderful, helpful things that can help answer questions. A lot of times, you might come across a question or something in there, and their customer service is awesome. And a lot of times they're the ones who are going to be able to answer it, unless it's a school specific question. The other thing that's great about it is it's one form and it's one fee of $55 for any number of schools you're applying to. So you can apply to as many schools, apply the PFS to as many schools as possible as you want. So a little peek behind the curtain here. So how is your award calculated? So it's income minus expenses. So that's the money coming in minus the money going out. Then assets minus liabilities. So these are the things we look at, assets minus liabilities, what you owe minus what you own minus what you owe. And then we look at the family members, all the family members that live in the house. If you have other students in tuition charging schools, if and a lot of times, it varies from family to family, obviously. And then we also look at all the items are then taken into consideration to determine your discretionary income. So we look at those three things above, and then we come up with, we calculate a number that is your discretionary income. SSS then recommends to us what portion of your discretionary income should be used for your educational expenses. Then we will verify that information that you provided and then calculate our ability to meet your remaining need. And that is when we get what's called the EFC, which is the estimated family contribution. And then we get our total cost of attendance minus the EFC, and that is what your total financial need is. And one thing to kind of note, that just because you show a need for financial aid doesn't mean we can give it to every family. It's competitive. Financial aid is tough. We have a budget because the budget, as I mentioned earlier, the money awarded comes out of our budget. So we obviously don't have enough for every family that applies. Just so you know. And one thing I will say is that is a conversation that I have with every family. And if you're put on the wait list, so we do have different categories that you go into when you are given a decision. So on March 10th, you will either get a award letter, or you will also possibly get a financial aid waitlist letter. And that is a conversation that, again, I will have with each family individually. And again, please always feel free to email or call me. We're nice and friendly here. So here is like a little, tutorial on applying and what the website looks like. So here we have, so this is the main page of the resources. So here you see this red circle, that's where you're going to log in, create your account, all that. And then down here, they have the PFS workbook, which is basically the PFS just in a hard copy. And if you want to start filling it out so you can kind of, you know, look at what it looks like before you really submit your information. And then down here is where you'll submit your required documents. So this is, click in the green box to log back into your existing account. So this is for families that are returning families, and then new families are in the purple. So again, it's a very user-friendly website, and they always have people there and ready to help you if you're having any issues. And it's kind of like a smartphone. It has a good sense of what's coming next for you. And the other thing is that it provides like all these tips and sections. It's very similar to kind of when you do your taxes, and because it gives you little intel into what they're really asking for, where you need to find what information on your tax return. Just to take a look at that. Here is then where you will where you will select what schools you're going to apply to. Our school code is 2278, just so you know, but you can also search for that. And so you can then be able to see, okay, these are all the schools I'm applying to. Here's the list, and make sure that you have that list is right and that you don't miss any of the schools that you're applying to. So important notes about completing the PFS. In the family expenses category, there is a section that says list all tuition contributions you plan to make and receive in 2022. Here, we just ask that you be as honest and accurate as possible. So what they're asking is, how much do you think you can pay? If you really look at your budget, and that's what this is, really asking you to look at your finances, look at how much you're spending, and how much do you think you can honestly pay? If you you can say anything from $1 if you really don't think you can pay anything, but if you can pay something, be honest about that, and be as honest as possible, because to kind of tell you, if we see that your estimated family contribution is a lot different than what you say you can pay, we're going to really take a much closer look at your application and wonder, where do they want to spend their money? So that is just kind of an honest look at how we look at your application. The other thing is, other considerations in section 20. This is your opportunity to tell your story. We read all of these. And also this year, we understand that COVID-19 has changed a lot of people's financial situations. And this is where you're going to tell us this. And that's also, where you're going to tell us, we had this amount of money in 2019, and this is why we don't have that much in 2020. So again, this is your opportunity to tell your story. And we take that very seriously, and it's very confidential. So the next thing, scholarships. So kind of to get away from the need-based financial aid process, we have scholarships. So one thing about scholarships is you don't need to apply for them. As mentioned, they are designated by the admissions committee, and they are merit-based. And the other thing is you can get a need-based financial aid scholarship and, or not a scholarship, sorry, need-based award, and you can also get a scholarship as well. Okay. So the trustee scholarship is for students that exhibit potential to positively contribute to our residential life program. So that's mostly for students that will be boarding. The head scholarship is for students who show promise in athletics and arts. The Dean Scholarship is for students that show academic promise. And then the Charger Scholarship is for students who show strength in character, leadership, aptitude, and commitment to learning. And then our other scholarship is the Waltham Scholarship, where there is an application required, and that is for students that have lived in the Waltham community for at least 2 years. And that is, the application is on our website. So as I said earlier, we are here to partner with you, and we want to make private school affordable. We know it's a big and very time-consuming process, but we also know that you are making sacrifices. These are your children, and private school is expensive. And again, we're here to partner with you. So feel free to give me a call or send me an email. And I'll be willing to chat with you.
Great, thank you, Susie. All right. I know that was a lot of information. Thank you, Susie, for outlining it in such a way that hopefully all the families attending could kind of take all that information in. I don't see any questions here in the chat, so I'll give it another minute or so for that to see if you have any questions. And as I mentioned, we are recording this, so we're happy to email this out, and that way you can play it back and see that. So actually, I see a question just popped up. So just to be clear, if we have paid the $55 fee for this year, we can just add CHCH to the schools to apply for. And that's
Yes, you
correct.
should
Yep.
be able to, in that section that I showed you, you just add us to your list.
Great. And what percentage of students receive financial aid?
So we have about 28% of our students are on financial aid. And but we also have, the scholarships as well. So 35% of our students get tuition assistance.
Great. And what is the average aid award? Sorry, I can't talk. What is average aid rewarded?
That is a good question. I can get back to you. It really varies because we have day students and boarding students. So I have to look at my numbers to check that. I believe it's in kind of the high, it's around 39,000, but do not quote me. I think it's either there or 41,000, but it really depends on day versus boarding.
Okay, great. And can you either show the screen again or say what forms we need?
Yes.
Bank statements.
Let me share that again. And also you can go to our website. Let me get to that. Oh, okay. Yes, here they are. Sorry. So it's 2019 and 2020 taxes. So you don't need your 2018 taxes. But I would suggest you look at your 2018 tax returns to just get an idea, of some of the numbers of what you've spent and what income has come in. So 2019 and 2020 W-2s and 1040s for the most part, if you have a pretty simple tax situation.
Okay, great.
I can read that up for now too.
Okay, and then another question, are the scholarships awarded only one per category or multiple students?
It's multiple students, yes. There's not one category really. There's multiple students that receive multiple scholarships.
So we have a budget that we are given, and then we divide that up amongst the students we feel like fit those specific categories. Another question, how are financial aid calculations awarded at CHCH if a family has one or more students at other independent schools on financial aid?
Yeah, so that is, so there's a question that you're going to get in the PFS. and it's going to ask you how much you spent on, or how much financial aid you received for the other students. We get the big number, of how much you can spend for all of your students. And then that gets divided by the number of students that are on financial aid. Does that make sense?
Yep. Thank you. Good. I think those are all of the questions. And Susie, if you want to just put up your information again in the last case.
I'll put it in the chat. This is my info. It's best to email me, and then I can give you a call, or if you have some simple questions, I can just get right back to you. But yeah, feel free if you have questions. But I would suggest, if you have, if you want to tell me, some specifics about your situation, I would suggest that you put all of that in the other considerations section of the PFS, just to keep everything right there, and again, streamlined and in one place. If you have little things here and there, questions, that's fine. You can send it to me, but it is best to keep everything in one place.
Okay, great. Thank you, Susie. And thank you to all of our participants for, oh, they're not seeing your emails.
Oh, sorry. Okay, great.
There we go. All right, I hope you can see that now. Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you everyone for participating in our webinar this afternoon. I hope you found it helpful. So please feel free to reach out to Susie if you have any financial aid questions. And if you have any questions about the application process, I'm also available to help as well. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.